In today's lesson, I'm going to talk about the basics of functional harmony. I'm going to try and demystify some of the music theory ideas used, especially when we talk about jazz harmony. But all harmony has the same basics, so I'm going to start from a general theory point of view. In every major key, there are 7 diatonic chords. So if I play the chord of C major, the next one along would be D minor, the next would be E minor, followed by F major, followed by G major, followed by A minor, and the last one would be a chord which is minor but it has a flat 5. It's partly diminished, or you could say a B minor chord with a flat 5. So none of those chords had any sharps or flats, and that's because in the key of C major there are no sharps and there are no flats. Likewise, if we did it in the key of F, we would have to include a B flat because there's a B flat in the key of F major. So those chords would be F major, I'm going to call that chord 1, chord 2, which is G minor, chord 3, which is A minor, chord 4, which is B flat major, chord 5 is C major, chord 6 is D minor, and chord 7, again it's that slightly strange chord which is a minor chord and the 5th is flattened, so you could say it was partly diminished or an E minor chord with a flat 5. In all of those sequences, chord 1 is always major. So in F major, chord 1 was major. Chord 2 is always minor. And in F major, chord 2 is minor. So that sequence of major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished is the same regardless of what key you're playing in. So why are they major and why are they minor chords, and what does that mean? Well, in order to understand whether a chord is major or minor, you need to know whether the third is major or minor. So in the chord of C major, the third, which is this, is major. If we were to play this note, that would be a minor third, and therefore this chord would be minor. And so, how do we know whether it's a major or minor chord? Well, some people say it's happy. Have a listen. And then they say the minor third is sad. That's a kind of subjective way of listening to it, and that assumes that all music with major thirds is happy and that all music with minor thirds is sad. But a more mathematical way of working out the distance is to count the number of semitones. So from C to E, it's a major third, but to C to E flat, it's a minor third. So in order to understand that, really you need to understand intervals. So I'm going to show you what the intervals are within C to C, which is an octave. The first interval is called a minor second, and it's C to D flat, followed by a major second, that's C to D, then a minor third, that's C to E flat, a major third, C to E, a perfect fourth, that's C to F. Now that distance is called perfect, it's not major and it's not minor. The next one has 3 names. It could be called an augmented fourth, so a bigger than a fourth, so bigger than a fourth. It could be called a diminished fifth, so smaller than a fifth. Or it could be called a tritone because it's 3 tones. 1, 2, 3. Whatever you call it, as long as it describes the interval, that's absolutely fine. The next one is a perfect fifth, C to G, then a minor sixth, C to A flat, then a major sixth, C to A, a minor 7, C to B flat, and then a major 7, C to B, and obviously after that you come back to the octave. Those have names, minor second, minor third, major third, etc. When we're counting how many semitones they are, we have to count this as 1. So the first note is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the distance between C and E is 5 semitones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is not the same as maths where you count on the next one. So C to G, for instance, which is a perfect fifth, is 8 semitones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In the key of C major, it's a perfect fifth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's why people get very confused. You say, well, how many semitones is it? It's 8 semitones. Oh, but it's a perfect fifth because it's 5 notes. So when you're in the key of C major, it's 5 notes. Therefore, it's a fifth. But if you want a mathematical way of working it out, just count up the semitones. It's 8 semitones. So that shows you how you form chords in a key of C or F, and how all the chords have the same qualities. Chord 1 is always major, chord 2 is always minor. They're major because the third is major, they're minor because the third is minor. And explaining it like that seems quite obvious, but actually, having taught people for many years, what I sometimes think as obvious is not always obvious, but hopefully after this lesson that will be clear. So in my next tutorial, I'm going to look at the chords 5 and the chords 1 and show how they're used a lot in not just jazz, but also in classical music, and why this is such a strong chord sequence.